Hello there again, everybody. I'm going to be playing some Grixis Shadow today. This is an aspiring Spike list. Spike played this to a recent top 8 at a Texas event that I believe had a couple hundred people in it. Pretty exciting that some live events are starting back up again, obviously with some safety guidelines in place. But this event happened and apparently went pretty well, and Spike top 8'd with this identical list. So I'm gonna be running it through running it through a league and seeing what I can do with it. Let's look at the current modern metagame as it sits today. Today is I guess August 17th, 2021. I don't know what my computer is doing, but we've got Hammer Time in at first. Come on, go away. Okay, cool. We've got Hammer Time in at first. Elementals has crept past Blue-Red Tempo, which has been pretty interesting. I guess y'all can read, so this is the rest of the top 15. So the cool thing about this particular list is, I guess, Dress Down as the featured card. We've got the 4th copy in the sideboard for when it is good, but at a glance we can take a look and see where we can expect such a card to be good. Versus Hammer Time, I guess it can shut off Luris for a turn. It can stop the various abilities on whatever creature. Against Elementals, it stops a bunch of abilities, which is cool. Same with Tempo, pretty much. I guess Footfalls, it's not super great, but against just about everything, it seems like it's gonna have some amount of utility. And just a cantrip that can be looped with Luris is just pretty sweet in general. So we'll see how it goes. Chaos, what's up? Welcome back, welcome back. I appreciate the resub. 11 months. I think that's just about the entire time I've been streaming. So, thanks for sticking around. And we get to go first? No way. Yeah, we're missing threats, but we've got a very interactive hand. Seems fine. We've got a threat right here, right? Appreciate the kind words as always. Alright, we do play Mishra's Bauble in the deck, so I guess it's probably fine to just lead on the not fetch, because if we find Bauble next turn, maybe we can filter a card. Downside to this is we may be able to play a Shadow one turn more slowly. They've got double Aether Vial, Flicker Wisp, Skyclave, Thalia. So I don't really have any creatures right now. I mean, the opponent is really mana light, so maybe I should just take a Vial anyway. If they had one Vial, obviously I'd snap take a Vial, but a second one makes it a little bit stickier. This game's gonna go long, so they're pretty likely to find their lands at some point. But it might be nice, assuming they stumble, to prevent them from having multiple vials to generate basically mana. Skyclaves don't do much. Flicker Wisps don't really do much in the face of not having anything to flicker. Well, they have Skyclave, but Skyclave isn't very good. They've got so many Skyclaves, basically 3. And I have Bolt for Thalia. Yeah, I think I'm going to take a Vial. Maybe the opponent stumbles. The rest of the hand just doesn't really do a lot. And there's the bobble, so we get to do that filtering thing I was talking about, which is why I played the lands the way that I did. We've got a Drown in the Lock on top. I don't think I'm interested in that. We've already got plenty of Drowns. Let's just get a Blood Crypt. Say go. And if they just cast Thalia, maybe I drown it because Bolt is more valuable down the line, I think. It just costing 1 seems important. But I mean, Drown can be used as a kind of terminate, so they can both be retroactive, but while only Drown can be proactive. So maybe the flexibility is worth more. Alright, well, they might not be able to play Thalia anyway, so I guess I can delay that decision. Snow-covered swamp, not ideal. So they're just gonna violin whatever creature, meaning that we're not actually countering it. So I guess this would be an okay turn to just put Lurrus to hand. They do have answers to it, but at least we'll be able to get some immediate value. And then when we kill the Skyclave, we could even get additional value by getting that creature. So I think we're just going to use this turn to unexcitingly put Lurrus into hand. Yeah, they also do only have 1 card in the yard. I'm imagining there's going to be another card in the yard by the time I'm trying to counter stuff, which is what I was meaning. Good to clarify, though. I'm going to assume Thalia. I guess if they've drawn Leon and Arbiter, that could be sticky. But, I mean, I've got another land, and I can kill the Arbiter if it is an Arbiter. Alright, so now they've got, as far as we know, 3 triple white cards and only a Vial. So now what I can do is Lightning Bolt the Thalia, and then I could have Drown up for something that costs 2 or less. Not super exciting. I could just play Lurrus and then pay 1 to cast a Bobble, but then I get Skyclaved, and I don't really want to give them free tempo when I can otherwise not. So I'm just gonna play the Mire. If I try to go for the Bolt on this after the Vial's on 3, they could try to save it. So let's just get this out of the way right now, I think. I don't really want to fall into a trap that I've set for myself. So I'm going to assume it goes up to 3. Alright, so they're just going to hold up a Flicker Wisp / Skyclave. And I imagine they'd be interested in throwing in a Skyclave. Let's see. I guess we've got lots of Drowns. Let's get another Watery Grave. Ragavan, okay. Ragavan is at least interesting. We could double threat with this. So I'm gonna play basic Swamp. So what I could do here is I could Lurrus plus play Bobble and hold up Drown. That means they're gonna flash in Skyclave. I could then, I guess, kill the Skyclave to get a 3/3. I could also play Ragavan. I could also play Bolt. So I guess I'm not holding up Drown. And also, like, we're not countering anything anyway, like I mentioned. So that's probably fine. So what I'm thinking of doing here is casting Lurrus, casting Bobble, casting Ragavan, and then holding up a Lightning Bolt for whatever they vial in. That all seems fine to me. So let's do this, making sure to hold up as much red mana as possible. Here is a Mishra's Bauble. Alright, and then I guess I'll just cast the Ragavan. Say go, and I'm going to make sure to Lightning Bolt the Skyclave Apparition before they can untap with the Vial. But I have to make sure that the trigger resolves first so I actually get the 3/3, right? Because if I bolt it while there's nothing under it, I wouldn't get anything. I think I'm just gonna have to grind through these Skyclaves, but I mean I'm getting creatures, so alright. Now they've made the decision to keep it on 3. I think I should bobble them. Another colorless land on top, although they could activate a Field of Ruin to get a colored land, which I'm assuming is plains. No K command in the Grixis deck. This is a copy-pasted list, so I can't speak to the decisions in specifically this list, but it would make sense that it's just too expensive. The artifact decks, I think, are already probably pretty fine matchups given our abundance of 1-mana interaction. And our discard even can disrupt the nuttier draws. Alright, so we're going to draw 2 cards here, one off of Bobble. The mountain's a little bit awkward with double drown, but our other lands cast the rest. Okay. I think I'm just going to bobble first to keep the stream of information. We know our Ragavan isn't going to hit because they're going to more than likely going to flash in the Skyclave off of the Vial. But that means our Shadow may get to live, so that's exciting. So I guess I'm just going to jam both. And I do want to kill this Giver because I don't want it protecting anything in the future. But if I go for it now, they could just flash in the Flicker Wisp. So I think what I'm going to do is just go ahead and evoke the Skyclave getting shot through. I'm assuming that's what's going to happen because I don't think they're going to want to trade their Giver for the Ragavan. Oh, it's Blade Splicer. That's interesting. So I think what I'm going to have to do, which is unfortunate, is probably kill the Blade Splicer token and the Giver of Runes, which is not going to leave me with a lot. This was a good one card that I didn't know about. So this is going to resolve. So if I don't do anything, this is going to jump in front of the Ragavan for free. This probably just doesn't get blocked. Yeah, I mean, if I kill this, this still just gobbles up the Ragavan. I think I have to kill the Golem, which is not how I was wanting to use this. And then they could just put their Blade Splicer in front of the Ragavan. I think I have to let that happen because I need to be able to kill this Giver while not having, which would disable them having a good Flicker Wisp target. So if they want to trade, I think I'll let them trade. And then Giver can never protect itself, so I guess this might be just a fine turn to deploy a Shadow, but if I deploy the Shadow, that gives them the Skyclave target, so I think I'm holding up the Drown. And then drawing an extra card with the Bobble. Okay. So I'm going to be careful to the, obviously, instant speed activation. I've got the extra land if they want to play Athalia. Yep. They've got Flicker Wisp, Skyclave, one unknown. First Strike's annoying. Channeler. Well, we've got Delirium. That can fly over pretty handily. I guess I'll probably just swarm them with some threats this turn. If I want to hold up Drown, I can only play 2 of my threats. That's probably fine. I'll go Death Shadow and Channeler. Ragavan kind of gets bricked by the Thalia. So let's lead here. So if I need to do any responding, I'll get the trigger. And then here's a Shadow, which is a 4/4. And then I guess I could have attacked first. But an attack doesn't actually work because they could block with Thalia and activate the Giver. Which they would probably want to do, because if I try to kill something after I activate the Giver, they could flicker in the they could vial in the Flicker Wisp. Alright, well, while the vial's down, I'm pretty likely to just use the Drown. Let's see what they want to hit. The Flyer, okay. And then after that has resolved, I'll go ahead and kill this. Get a 1/1, I guess. What's up, Nick? Oh, yeah, I'm an idiot. I even talked about needing to kill the Giver, but of course I threw it, because why not? Yield. Well, I made it a lot harder for myself than I needed it to be. Yeah, okay, we're dead. Had I done that correctly, I think the Prince even makes it hard. That Blade Splicer was kind of gnarly. And then it didn't help that I made it a lot harder for myself. Alright, so this feels like an Unholy Heat matchup. This might be a Dress Down matchup. There are lots of creatures with abilities in the opponent's deck. Like, if they put a Skyclave on the stack, or activate a Vial, I can Dress Down in response. Explosives also seems like it's going to be good. I don't know that I want Terminate. We already have so much 1-for-1 removal. I'm probably just fine not bringing it in, right? It's pretty likely that the opponent has some Grave Hate. The only real things that care about the graveyard in our deck are Channeler and Kroxa, right? I guess Unholy Heat to some degree, but most of their stuff has 2 toughness anyway. So I may just want to cut the Kroxas out of fear of not getting too dunked on by Grave Hate. Hey Nick, thanks for the resub, I appreciate it. The Drowns do care, yeah. They care symmetrically. I mean, symmetrically, like, if they have symmetrical hate in the form of something like Rest in Peace, then it'll suck. If they've got something more like a whatchamacallit, Soul Guide Lantern, they'll be fine. It's possible that I should actually just because I could actually bring in the Terminates over a couple of Drowns, because while they have Vial, it's unlikely we're countering anything anyway. Countering is preferable to just straight killing something because we can prevent the enter the battlefield effects. But I mean, assuming Grave Hate and assuming that most of the time we're going to kill something after it's already hit the field, Terminate might just be strictly better because we're fearing the Yard Hate. It's worth a consideration. Need 2 more cuts. Cut the Kroxas, swapped the Drowns for the Terminates. What else? I guess versus a mid-range deck that isn't necessarily doing anything super unfair, I could definitely see a reason to cut discard, especially when it's gonna get pretty poor pretty quickly. Let's do that. Does Ragavan stay in here? I think I have to. Between Ragavan, Shadow, and Dragon's Rage Channeler, those are the only 3 like win conditions I have in the deck, like, obviously other than Luris. So I don't think I can really cut on a lot of threats, and I already cut to Kroxa. Like, if we can kind of play the Delver strategy of play it early and then kill everything out of the way and keep connecting, I think it could be quite good. Like, hopefully here. Alright, I'm gonna bottom a 3rd land. Keep. Alright, so I'll get Blood Crypt. I guess the Bloodstained Mire is the best fetch in the deck because it gets our basic, so I'll lead on the Polluted Delta getting Blood Crypt. Say yes. And if they've got a Vial start here, that means our Ragavan's connecting. I don't imagine they play Prismatic Ending given their mono white. I guess it could be a sideboard card if they super cared about it. Deal, I guess. We don't have a way to exploit the extra mana. That's a Shadow. So if we fetch Shock Thoughtseize, that puts us down to 12, which means we can actually play a Shadow, which is exciting. If there's something we really care about, I guess we could Thoughtseize again. They've got Charming Prince, Flicker Lips. They do have Rest in Peace, so pretty good we brought in those Terminates. And double Skyclave again. Well, I think my plan is going to be to ignore the Rest in Peace. It stops Luris, but that's about it as far as we're concerned right now. Flickerlisp is annoying, but they need to do something first. And Charming Prince is the only thing they can do. It can scry their lands to the top, but I'm going to assume they're going to hit the lands eventually. And Charming Prince is annoying, but they're probably not even going to want to play it so they can flicker something like a Skyclave later. I think I'm just going to take a Skyclave. Alright, and then we can go to 12. And play a Death Shadow. Then I might as well cast this. I guess I could have bobbled first to just continue the cycle of complete information. They've got a Ghost Quarter on top. Alright, so they were going to get the land anyway. Knowing they were going to get the land makes me even happier that I took a Skyclave to begin with. And we can always just use a discard spell on the next Skyclave. There's the Rip. Not going to do anything within the context of dealing with Shadow. Big draw step. Perfect. There's the Terminate that we put in instead of the Drown. So getting a little rewarded there. So their hand is Charming Prince, Flickering Wisp, Skyclave. Well, I'm definitely taking a Skyclave. And I want to hit for a few extra points, so let's Thoughtseize. And I mean, Charming Prince would let them scry. Charming Prince also makes their average draw better. I guess they both have the same exact flicker effect, but Charming Prince is cheaper. Yeah, I guess I'll take the Prince because it's cheaper. They have similar effects. Like, also, if they didn't draw something to blink here, they'd probably just play the Charming Prince and scry too, which is a lot better than their Flicker Wisp would be. I don't know that this is a bad matchup, but it doesn't seem like a gimme. Alright, and they're just playing the Flicker Wisp. Alright, well, I'll terminate it out of the way and be happy that this isn't a Drown. We do have Basic Mountain in the deck if they decide to Ghost Quarter. We've got Luris hanging out just as a 3-2 as well. Interesting. I think I still want to use the Terminate. There's a lot that Unholy Heat kills just at 2 damage. Is there anything that it doesn't? I guess like Blade Splice or Token. If they're playing something stupid like Restoration Angel, I guess. Like, having Unholy Heat is actually relevant, because next turn if we draw lands, I could Unholy Heat and put Luris into hand. Yeah, I'll use the Terminate. Get in for, I guess, 3. This game's going all right. They're playing off of the top. So are we, though. But we've got Luris, so that might put us slightly ahead. Okay, they have 2 unknowns. Aw, man. Well, I guess if they play a Mishra's Bauble, we can counter it. I'll put Luris to hand just to have as a 3-2 for next turn. I'll make sure to keep in mind the lifelink interaction. Yeah, I know. I'm aware they don't play well together, but I mean, if you're playing everything that costs 2 or less, it's kind of hard to justify not playing the Luris, especially when it works so well with just everything else in the deck. All right, so they're gonna try to cut us off of blue here, which will work. But as it turns out, we don't actually have anything that would matter for it anyway. We're out of basic, so if they want to Ghost Quarter us, they could put us off of even Luris. Okay, Fetch Land was good, because now if they try to Ghost Quarter us, we'll have Luris mana anyway. And I'm going to Fetch Shock before damage so I can get in the additional points, which would have Bolt being lethal. I guess no matter what I get, they're pretty likely to just Ghost Quarter it anyway. I'll still Shock here. So, take 6, put you to 3. Bolt off of the top is lethal. And then I will play the Luris just to have an additional lethal threat. Again, I'm aware of this slight little non-bow here, but this gives them 2 things that they have to deal with. Cool. Okay. So we know for sure they've got access to Rest in Peace now. So I think we did the right thing in taking out the Drown and the 2 Croxes, because that made us pretty insulated against that. So Drown is the card that cares the most about Rest in Peace. I guess maybe Unearth is better. The issue is most of their removal is exile based, right? So I mean, if something dies in combat, we can Unearth it, but then worst case it cycles. I don't think I want to bring in more discard spells, although it may be correct. Yeah, I want to take these Drowns out, and I guess I'll bring the Inquisitions in. They are important early, but going late game into a top deck war, they're going to look pretty abysmal. But the thing is, like, it's probably better than Flusterstorm, probably better than Alpine Moon, definitely better than Drown. Kroxa we're leaving out for the reasons we've been outlining, and the only other option is Soullight Lantern, which just cycles. The same reason why I would have Unearth in the deck. Yep, let's do this. Reveal the thing. Yeah, we've got a keeper. Missing a threat, but again, very interactive. We've got some baubles for digging. I did not have a vial. That's exciting. We can use the bauble as a scry trick with the fetch land. Okay. I guess we can peek. We've got Blood Crypt on top. I am not interested in that. So I'll play Scalding Tarn, fetch it away. I want to hold up Lightning Bolt, so I guess I'll just lead on the first copy of Blood Crypt. And then I want to cast the Baubles now in the event that the opponent has a Thalia. Dress down, interesting. And I do think I'm gonna sacrifice these baubles semi-aggressively. That's gonna be an issue. I guess that we can actually turn off the Sanctifier with the dress down, which is kind of funny. Let's just start getting them some information. They've got a Flicker Wisp on top. Okay. And also, obviously, explosives is a way to deal with it. I guess I do want to draw a creature here, which means I'll just really aggressively sacrifice these baubles. I've been doing alright, Nick. Been fairly busy with work things. Okay, so if I flash in the dress down at my opponent's end step, I can Lightning Bolt the Sanctifier on my turn, because this sacrifices at the beginning of the next end step. So if I put it in at end step, I should be good. I'll play a Scalding Tarn, and I guess say go. And then plan on making that play. Like, maybe next turn, so like end step, I can dress down, and then on my own turn, I can shock, play a Death Shadow, because I'll be at 12, which makes a 1/1. I'll be at 2 less if they decide to attack, so I'll have a 3/3. Blade Splicer. So if I flash in the dress down now, this is going to sacrifice pretty much immediately, and then I won't be able to kill the Sanctifier. So I have to let this just resolve, unfortunately. So this will get, I believe, a Steam Vents. Yeah, I don't have very many black spells. Say yes. Flash in a dress down. Draw a card. And the fetch land is nice, because that means I can go down to 9 and make Shadow a 4/4, which means I would block Golem. They have Flicker Wisp to start flickering Blade Splicer, which is on the annoying side. But getting to Inquisition here is also going to be pretty nice. We're at a minimum going to take a Flicker Wisp. Ooh, their hand is annoying. I guess I'm going to ignore Rest in Peace. Path is annoying, but Flicker Wisp represents another Skyclave. I'm really worried about the Skyclave. Thing is, Flicker Wisp just being a 3/1 flyer is also really annoying. I guess if they Flicker Wisp the Blade Splicer, I'll have explosives to immediately get rid of the golems, and then I'll have the other explosives to spend a lot of mana to kill all of the 3s. The Skyclave is just so bad for me. Guess I'll take that. And then again, like I mentioned, I'm going to pay 3 here, so that way they're forced to use the path immediately. We're actually going to have a 13-13 for a moment, which is funny. Alright, there's your Rest in Peace. Say yes. Does it matter here? I guess we're more likely to have a lot of black spells in the same turn. Is that even true? I mean, we've only got 1 red. Let's just get the mountain. I'll go to 5. Their hand does Flicker Wisp and something. Ooh, Shadow is a good one. Really, really good one. So I could lead on Iteration. If I lead on Iteration, I don't really know what I'm looking for. I think I just have to play the Shadow and hope that they don't have a means of removing it. Which means I could also play an Explosives on 3 just to get it ready. Yeah, that all seems fine. So, Engineered Explosives. Let's do red, blue, black. So X equals, or Sunburst for 3. Why not EE on 0? I do plan on casting EE on 0, but I'm not going to pop it until their second Golem enters play, so I don't want to give them the information that I have means of killing their golems. It's like, as is, they can flash and they can put in the Flicker Wisps just to make another golem because they could think that they're safe. If they've got a way of dealing with my Shadow, I could be in trouble. They could also just flicker the Engineered Explosives and deal with it that way, which would be funny. So this puts me to 1, which is dangerous, but 1 is not 0, and we're gonna have a 12-12. Giver is your last card. That's a 1-power attacker, which is a problem. Oh, Bolt was perfect, right? So we get to kind of kill everything. So we get to pop this. I can then Lightning Bolt the Giver out of the way. And then play Explosives for 0. And then even if they find an answer for the Shadow, we have an Iteration to hopefully reload. Okay. Yeah, one mana removal was the absolute nut there. They have a redraw. If they attack, I'll just pop the Explosives, obviously. Get rid of everything that costs 0. They drew a path. Well, we've got the Iteration to reload, hopefully. We've also got Luris just as a 3/2. I'll lead on the Iteration, I believe. Unholy Heat, that's fine just as a shock a creature. Alright. So, put one of them into hand. Dress down. Put one on the bottom, steam vents, and one to exile. So cast with dash. It's gonna be a close one. What do I flip? I flipped a plains. I could, funnily enough, I could just dress down now, because then the Ragavan will lose the ability of return it to my hand. But I think I may need to just hold the dress down in the event that they draw something with an enter the battlefield effect, because we could always dash the Ragavan next turn anyway. And then for reasons of wanting to hold up dress down, I'm gonna keep up the Luris. Or keep not put the Luris into hand. So Skyclave does nothing. We can Unholy Heat it and then dash Ragavan, and that should be game. Give me my 0/0. Sick. Alright, so after being an absolute doof game 1, the next 2 games went better. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad matchup. I don't think it's a gimme though. Yeah, so dress down looked very good that game, right? It let us pretty easily deal with the Sanctifier. And we did draw pretty hot that third game though. Like we drew a shadow and we needed a threat. And we drew a 1-mana removal spell when we needed to draw a 1-mana removal spell. So we were fairly fortunate on the top of the deck category. This hand's not super interactive, but I can bobble myself before determining what land to play first. Given I have Watery Grave and I do want to play Channeler on one though, I guess I'm just going to get Blood Crypt immediately and then start triggering the Channeler. Are we going to get turn 1 Delirium? That'd be special. Yeah, Sanctifier has been quite strong. Alright, well, if we hit 2 non-land, non-artifact types, we can get Delirium on turn 1. Archive Trap, well, I guess we're going to have Delirium on turn 1. 6 types already with a Croxa? Deal. You got another one? I mean, we've got a double Death Shadow progression, so we have the potential of going off really quickly. And I think I'm just going to leave these cards on top. I don't want to mill myself any extra, I don't think. And also, like, the fetch land is actually just fine in the capacity that it helps enable Death Shadow. So I expect Mill to probably be on the rough side of things. Tasha's Laughter has got to be really good versus a Luris deck. Another Archive Trap on top. Jeez. So they have that Archive Trap in their hand now. I'll bobble them again because I'm looking for ways to aggressively put this Shadow into play. Double Archive Trap draw is going to be on the difficult side. And also, second Archive Trap is going to turn on their Shell Dock, so the first land they play gets them a free spell. So this feels like close to the nuts. This game. We get to see what they're drawing. You got a Surgical? Alright, well, luckily we don't have a Death Shadow in the yard. Does this work with the Archive Trap? No, because they're searching my library, right? We're not searching it. I believe that's how that works. Honestly, it has not come up for me recently. Because they're searching our library. So they took 4 Thoughtseizes out. I'm correct? Good to know. Alright. Let's see what they're drawing. So we know they've got an Archive Trap in hand. They're going to be drawing a Ruined Crab. So we're drawing 3 cards here. Just another shadow. Alright, well between our 2 shocks we can only go to 13. That's unfortunately shy of putting any number of shadows into play. So I guess this turn is going to be cast Croxa. Only thing we can do. So they don't know that they have Crab on top while making this decision. I'm gonna try to avoid fetching for what it's worth, because that will turn on the Archive Trap that we know about. But if we draw a fetch land next turn, I may just have to use it so I can play triple Shadow. Because I mean, if I play triple Shadow and then shock a Steam Vents, that's 9 powers worth of attacking shadows. So I may just have to fall into their Archive Trap if I find a fetch. They know we've got double Shadow as well, so if they mill the last one, they're probably just going to Surgical our whole hand. Which would be hilarious and sad at the same time. Iteration. Well, I guess I'll lead on that. If I hit a fetch off of that, I can at least deploy 1 Shadow. Trigger my Channeler. I'm almost always going to keep this on top, especially because it's the fetch land that I'm looking for. They haven't milled all the fetchables, right? I've got 2 of each shock. So I guess 1 of each shock left in the deck, assuming they haven't milled any. There's our swamp. So yeah, pretty much all of our fetchables are still in the deck. Interesting, interesting. So Unholy Heat does kill Crab, but what's more important? Killing Crab or putting a shadow into play? Let's put 1 into hand. For sure the Unholy Heat. 1 onto the bottom, and then the other playable this turn. So what's more important? Do I need to Unholy Heat the Crab, or do I need to play the Death Shadow immediately? If I play the Death Shadow immediately as a 1/1, next turn I'm shocking, and I can hit the Crab with the Heat and continue attacking. I think I have to do that. So they have Archive Trap in hand, which is going to hit us for 13 for free, right? So we're at an effective 13 because I'm taking a land out of the deck. So pretty much any single mill spell, with the exception of Glimpse, is going to kill us. They've even got the card under the Shell Dock. So I need to hope that they have only access to Glimpse. I mean, I have to fetch to get the shadows at some point, so I guess, assuming that I will be fetching at some point, I guess it makes more sense to fetch now, because if they find an additional Archive Trap, it makes it harder for them to use it. Alright, here's that. Attack for 3. I think I also want to for sure go with the play Shadow line, because if they do mill the other copy of Shadow, I think they're likely to Surgical, assuming they've got access to another. And I don't think I want them to rip all of the remaining threats in my deck out. Alright, so gonna be close-ish. Field of Ruin, yikes. So that gives them another landfall guaranteed. I just have to hope that their remaining holdings are lands, pretty much. And if they are, I think we've got an easier out to victory, barring something silly like an Engineered Explosives. I can even escape Croxa next turn if I'm worried about them having a card in their hands. Oh god. Well, things got harder. That's not a mill spell. If again they're somehow missing a mill spell, we could do alright. Oh gosh. So we can fetch. We have fetchables left. There goes Blood Crypt. And there goes Steam Vents. We've got other Steam Vents in hand. So that's all of our shock lands. So we can't actually fetch shock anymore. So this is looking like Unholy Heat your Crab, Shadow, Shadow, attack for 6. Trigger Channeler for what it's worth. Honestly, I'm going to leave it on top. I mean, everything that I need to win is in play. The funny thing is do we have any dress downs in the deck still? Looks like we have one. If we draw a dress down, we can just kill the opponent pretty much immediately because shadows are 13/13s while dress down is in play. So if we draw our last copy of dress down, we could just win immediately. But if they've got a mill spell, we pretty much just lose immediately. So maybe for that reason, given that any mill spell kills us, I should have binned it, actually just digging for the whatchamacallit. They also play Ensnaring Bridge sometimes. That's good to know. So we're hoping to dodge a mill spell. They've got a card under Shelldock, which is for sure scary. They didn't just mill us immediately, so that's a good sign. So if I fetch here, we're attacking for... Well, if I don't fetch here, we're attacking for 12. And then if I fetch and don't get anything, we're attacking for 15. So I actually do need to fetch here, so that way we're lethal over 2 turns, right? Because we're attacking for 15, and then we'll attack for 15 next turn, assuming I actually fetch here. So I'm going to hope they don't have an Archive Trap. This is going to fail to find. But yeah, I have to do this to cut the clock off by a turn. Can I not search an MTGL? I'm not sure what you mean. You're saying, like, can I just say no to searching? I don't believe so. Because it's not a you may search. Like, the condition of activating the ability is that you are searching. It's not a you may search. It's I'm activating this ability, I will search my library. It's like Field of Ruin. Like, I don't have an option. They just make me do it. So I mean, we're still live to hitting our dress down. Our dress down would kill them immediately, but again, any mill spell kills us immediately. That's a land, which is not a mill spell. I guess now they could cast an Archive Trap. Oh, I have Luris. Dang, I'm stupid. Well, had I put Luris into hand, we could have I guess with the land dress down, but we're short a land anyway. So I mean, this kills us though, right? Mills 14, yeah, we're dead. Could have escaped Croxa, which would have been something I could do. Oh, there are no Croxas. They Crypt Incursioned us. So yeah, we were just dead no matter what. Okay, this looks like an Unearth matchup. I guess Flusterstorm is just a counter spell for a mill spell, which is relevant, right? I don't think Soul Guide Lantern is gonna get a spot. Explosives kills crabs. I guess if they have Mesmeric Orb, we could also take that out. Unholy Heat kills crabs, but so do bolts, and I think bolts are better because they go face. Is this a dress down matchup? I don't think so. I think I'm going to bring in Unholy Heat just as an additional answer to crab. We can save the bolts to go to face. What would come out? We need 3 more outs. I don't think I'm taking out any of the threats. I think I'm keeping in all the discard, all of the counter spells. I guess it might just be Iteration. Like, Iteration can help us dig for, like, counters and threats and such. But they're not really interacting with our threats, probably outside of something like Fatal Push. I think everything else is just better. I guess there's something to be said about maybe Iteration being better than something like Explosives, especially since I already have so many answers to crabs. But I think I'm going to save... I think I'm going to look at Drown as purely a counter spell here. I think I'm going to avoid using this to kill a crab whenever possible, which means our only removal spells for the crabs are like the heats and the bolts. And the explosives now. Let's do this. Is it not good enough to make Shadows a beast? I'm not sure what you mean. Oh, you mean like to make it a 13/13? If that's the only thing it's doing, I think it's probably too gimmicky. Yeah, this is a hand. So this hand has got to do a lot of fetching, unfortunately. Hopefully they don't have Archive Trap to mess with our scry. Keep, I guess, bottom a Watery Grave. Watery Grave is one less time we would have to search for a land, but I think I may need to pay the life in order to enable the Shadow, especially if we find a Thoughtseize. So this will get Blood Crypt. I guess I could get Steam Vents, so that way we can hold up Flusterstorm more easily. But I'm going to be fetch shocking pretty much infinitely anyway. Let's get the Blood Crypt. Say yes. Here's our 3/3, which I almost will guarantee has Delirium by the time we try to attack. Alright, they did have a trap. Okay. Here's our 1 mana 3/3. For what it's worth, they should probably have done this end step, because now our Surveil may end up actually mattering. Another Shadow. So if I fetch Shock, I go down to 14. See, like, the thing is, if I bin the Shadow, they may just end up surgicaling it, which is going to take off most of my pressure. The other issue, though, is I don't actually have a way of deploying these Shadows, but when I eventually do, it could be quite good. It's also a bigger blowout if I take the Shadow into hand, and then they eventually find the third Shadow before I can deploy them. It's kind of a gamble no matter where I put it. I think I'm going to bin it. Did they have the surgical? They did. Brutal. I mean, I guess I could have not done that with the intention of holding up Flusterstorm, but the thing is, like, if I just draw the Shadow here, I'm just attacking for 3, and that's pretty much it. I think I needed to take the risk and dig for actual action. They're gonna know about Flusterstorm now, which is unfortunate. So our threats now are Dragon Rage Channeler, Ragavan, Kroxa. We do have a Kroxa in the yard. Alright, so our Surveil is no longer relevant. Take a quick phone call. Okie dokie. Bobble. Kind of just looking for things similar to Channeler now. Alright, I guess we'll Scry Trick it. Which may not matter. Probably doesn't matter. Yard that. I mean, I'm probably going to defend these Kroxas. Assuming they try to surgical. Or something like a Crypt Incursion. But they're a couple turns off of usefully using a Crypt Incursion. I guess I'll bobble myself at end step trying to use the Scry Trick. Yikes. Got that fetch land. Mill for 12. I guess it's not a fetch land. There goes an explosive. Dang, explosives would have been good. Although it would have killed our crab as well. Our channeler. Well, I guess we'll start looking for fetchables. So they've hit 1 Steam Vents, 1 Blood Crypt. That's it. Alright, what do we have? Mishra's Bauble again. I think I'd rather just have a better card now. And now that Shadow is out of the deck, I guess conserving my life is relatively free. And I could put Luris to hand, but I think I really need to defend my Croxas. Especially because I can escape Croxa next turn. Second Channeler was really, really nice. And I guess I'm going to just fetch now. In order to avoid getting Archive trapped and give the opponent one additional look at it. And I guess in the event they play a Field of Ruin, I'll actually just shock here. Because I want to be able, since given that I don't have an island in the deck, I want to be able to keep up the Flusterstorm. I mean, we've got him dead in 2, but crabs are going to make things real difficult. That's a mill 12. That's half of what we've got left. And they played Watery Grave last turn, so I'm assuming that was the draw step. They're at 9 now. If we can find the Lightning Bolt, they die. Do we have any of those left? We somehow have all of our Lightning Bolts left? Is that possible? They didn't Surgical our bolts, right? There's one of them. Yeah, there's 3 Lightning Bolts left in the deck that would kill them immediately. Unless they've got a mill spell. Oh, there's the bolt. So, or they're surgicaling the bolts. So if I Flusterstorm this, it's counter unless you pay 2, which they can do. So I guess I just have to let this happen and try to target a mill spell. This is going to be mill 3 because there's still somehow 3 lightning bolts in the deck. Brutal. So even a fetch land would just kill us. This puts them at 7 though. Is there any way to deal an additional point? It was only bolt as burn spells, right? I guess we could try to escape a Croxa, and if they only have lands, then we could maybe do it. Yeah, we just have to, I think, Croxa and hope their remaining holdings are lands. Drown, interesting. So for sure attacking. Drown might have actually been perfect. Because even if they have a fetch land as a holding, one fetch land doesn't kill us anymore. So what I think I need to do is actually just Drown in the Lock the Ruin Crab and then hold up Flusterstorm. And then I'm going to do it at their upkeep. So if they have a counter, they have to counter on their turn, and it will also build up the storm for the Flusterstorm. So at your upkeep, unless you want to end step something, upkeep, kill a crab. I'm not sure that it matters which one. Make sure to leave a blue available. Leaving the cards on top, no matter what they are. Put it into the graveyard? No, put it on top. Alright, so now if they've got something like Fetch Land that doesn't kill us, if they got something like a Sorcery Speed Mill spell, we can Flusterstorm it. So Drown was nice. That's the Fetch Land, air quotes Fetch Land. Oh, this is brutal though, because They can actually cut us off of blue now. Field of Ruin was perfect. So now if they have 2 mana mill spell, it will actually work. But it's got to be a 2 mana mill spell. Or I guess Archive Trap works as well, given that we have to search here. Float the blue. I mean, they'll just move to the next phase to avoid it, which is brutal. Yeah, Field of Ruin was kind of the nut. I mean, we would have been dead immediately. I'm not even gonna get the land. Come on, be silly and do something now. I mean, I think it's only Glimpse and Archive Trap that would do it. Tasha's Laughter costs 3. Crypt Incursion costs 3. The triple blue thing costs 3. Okay, I think we're good. If they've got something like a Fatal Push, our Flusterstorm does counter it. You don't think they play Glimpse anymore? We got Glimpsed game 1, didn't we? I think we got Glimpsed game 1. That's a Fog. I'm going to say no to the Fog. They can't have another Darkness because they've got a blue available. What is this? Mystical Dispute doesn't do it because we've got 2 copies. Okay, the first copy of Flusterstorm is accounted for. The second copy should work though. Jeez. Yeah, let me double check. I think they do play Glimpse. I think we got Glimpsed, didn't we? There's an Archive Trap. Bunch of Bobbling, Surgicals, Croxa getting milled. Yeah, maybe not. I wish there was a way to like control F it to search. I think I remember getting glimpsed, but I could be wrong. All right, so still mill. Yeah, I don't think I'm making any changes. Everything I did felt reasonable. I didn't see it in the log, so I might just be wrong. I mean, it's still one of the more efficient quote-unquote burn spells, right? Yeah, this hand is acceptable. We've got a counterspell, we can kill the first crab, and we've got our threat on 1 mana. So, looking fine. It'll be interesting if they play a crab on 1, if we have to kill the crab or deploy the Ragavan. And I'm leaning towards killing the crab. It's unfortunate that I would have to not play the Ragavan here. I mean, I can kill the crab fairly easily next turn. Thing is, letting the crab stick around does seem problematic. Thing is, like, even if they like another fear that I have is what if they mill Ragavan and then Surgical and then we're really low on threats. Yeah, I think it might actually be correct to just play the Ragavan here and then try to get the crab out of the way next turn, and that would also allow me to hold up a Drown in the Lock, assuming that they've got enough cards in the yard to make it relevant. And again, I'm going to fetch sooner rather than later because I want to minimize their ability to have an Archive Trap. Alright. No Archive Trap, please. Hooray. It did not have it this time. Okay, they didn't have second crab, which is nice. There's a shadow. You gonna surgical some shadows? There's also our one of expressive iteration. Surgical that one, why don't you? There goes 2 drowns. Hopefully they don't surgical that. So the plan for now is lightning bolt the crab out of the way, try to connect. Shadow's a good find, although there's one on the yard, so hopefully it doesn't eventually end up getting surgicaled. They didn't have an archive trap last time, so I'm going to assume they don't have it again. This may get countered, but not much I'd be able to do about it. Like, they could drown in the lock this. They don't, though. Can we connect? Connecting would get us a treasure and allow us to hold up drown of our own, which would be exciting. Thank you.
I got the movie pass.
Nice. Push is annoying. So we cannot deploy a shadow quite yet. I do think I want to fetch shock now, though, because, again, I don't want my opponent to have the ability to find an archive trap. And then I think I am just going to explosives on 1, right? Because the only things that I'm killing are, I guess, crabs and orbs. Explosives on 1 makes shadow awkward, but it makes their crabs awkward. But again, the read was that they didn't have more copies of crab. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it on 1 because like this is almost definitely hitting a crab at some point. Yeah, like if they had a mesmeric orb, they'd have played it last turn. They found a trap. That must have been the fresh draw step. So I can shock down to 12 next turn and deploy a shadow, hold up drown in the lock. They have milled a shadow, so hopefully they don't surgical it in between now and when I have the ability to play it. Okay. I guess just for the sake of information, I could cast Croxa first, but then I'm not holding up drown in the lock, which I believe may be more important. The thing is, though, is I don't actually have a Croxa in the yard at the moment, and if I cast Croxa here, I'll be able to escape it next turn, and that, I think, is important. So let's cast it first. I had to shock my Steam Vents first, because Steam Vents doesn't cast Death Shadow. This is looking like a game that is winnable. They ditched a grave. Okay, here's a 1/1. Explosives on 1, check. Death Shadow, check. No. It's like main phasing a Field of Ruin. You find another trap? Yep. So this has to get the swamp. We haven't milled it, right? Because I need the swamp. I need the swamp in order to be able to escape the Croxa. I only had one other black source. So, them having not milled the swamp is what we needed. Surgical would still be bad here. They did find another trap. Yikes. So yeah, they must have drawn that archive trap. Thoughtseize is interesting. I mean, I still think I'm going to go for the escape. Alright, and then I don't really think it matters what I mill. I guess it does matter what I mill, in that I don't want to give them a surgical target. So let's get rid of the drowns, which may just tell them I've got drown in my hand, but at least now they can't surgical it. And I guess Thoughtseize as well, for that matter. So this'll basically all but tell them what I have. You get rid of all of the creatures? Are you talking like for like crypt incursion reasons? If they don't draw it immediately, I'll have the drown the counter. Yeah, that it is a decent argument though. That's good you bring it up. Or just preventing all combat damage. I guess they're going to be discarding it anyway is the idea, right? Alright, I mean, I think the thing that kills me now is the triple blue mill 14. We've got 14 in the deck. But if they don't hit it, we just kill them, right? Because I can Thoughtseize to make sure they don't have anything. And then we've got lethal attack. So we need to avoid the mill 14 or a Tasha's Laughter, which would almost definitely do it. Yeah. Of course. Perfect. We had one more card. Unfortunate. That was the Stone Cold perfect. I mean, assuming they play Tasha's Laughter, that would have worked as well. But yeah, I mean, they were just dead, assuming they didn't have it. Or, I guess, draw it off of the top. Yeah. Didn't matter. I think I played that game correctly. I think. Yeah, that's true, right? Tasha's Laughter doesn't target. The triple blue thing doesn't target. The new crab doesn't target. I guess, like, Glimpse does. Old crab does. Archive trap targets, right? Yeah. So this is looking like it's getting a Steam Vents to complete the colors. So the opponent is going to know that we are not playing blue-red tempo because we revealed Luris. Thought I yielded here. Here we go. Oh, is it Bogles? Oh, no, not Bogles. Alright, well, we can't drown the bird. We can bolt the bird. That's good. So I guess that's going to be what happens. I wish I had another land that wasn't basic swamp. But, I mean, it is what it is. Bolt the bird since 1993. I honestly don't think I want that. I've got plenty of threats. Threats are not the issue, and this will help the delirium count. You said Bogles and almost threw up. We've got explosives in the sideboard for that, but I think we're probably fairly soft. Actually, not even true. We have Dress Down. Dress Down takes off the hexproof, and then we can kill it. That's funny. Dress Down kind of does a lot, like, incidentally. Ooh, it's Devoted combo. Alright, well, we've got the Drown for the Druid. I can upkeep it to try to hit a land to deploy second Channeler. That does seem worth it. The downside of doing that is if I just naturally draw the land, we're getting one less Surveil. But it's so important for us to draw the land here that I kind of like just doing this. See if we can find a red source. Ideally a fetch to try to get our shadow on faster. We're playing 10 fetches in the deck. We've used one, so there's 9 of them. 18%. Hey! There it is. Alright, so this will get a Blood Crypt. Still short of the Delirium. Get in for 1. Slam. You're right, I guess they scarred you. Yeah, they've scarred me as well. I have a friend who enjoys playing Bogles every once in a while. I guess I should use the word friend loosely there, right? Ragavan. So the options here are put Luris to hand, dash Ragavan, or play Dress Down in an attempt to turn the Channelers on. If I turn the Channelers on, they won't actually be on for a turn because the Dress Down will be in play. So I think I'm going to dash the Ragavan. They're pretty unlikely to want to block. And I may want the Dress Down for a turn where they're trying to combo. Alright, jam with everybody. Everyone in the club getting turned. Why am I so mean to them? Because they're mean to us. You have to fight anger with anger. Devoted Druid. Would you like to block Ragavan? Apparently not. Alright, so we get to hold up Dress Down now thanks to our treasure here. There goes Shalai. I'm assuming there's only one of them, so that's a pretty solid hit. Don't play Thoughtseize Leyline in the way of the future. Maybe. So if I flash in Dress Down here... Oh gosh. So if I flash in Dress Down, I can have it gone by my end step. Thing is, if I flash in Dress Down on my opponent's turn now, their Duskwatch Recruiter can just be activated a few times. So it doesn't even seem that great anymore. So I think I'm just going to do it now so it dies immediately. Unholy Heat. That's got to be good. So we'll draw that immediately because Dress Down draws a card. So our stuff will gain abilities again. Iteration. So I think what I'm going to do is just re-dash the Ragavan. We could then still hold up Unholy Heat should they decide to block. And if they don't block, we get to just Unholy Heat. Right? Alternatively, I could play the Ragavan so I can stop spending mana on it. But I mean, we're clocking them. So I think I like a dash here. Like, the Channelers do just kill them in the end the next turn if they don't block the Ragavan now. Take the trade every day of the week. And then they're going to have mana to do pretty much everything that they want no matter what. I think I need to save the Unholy Heat to disrupt a combo should they attempt to go off. I mean, if they're playing, like, the Heliod combo and they just hit it, not much I can do. So this would have them going infinite with mana. If they've got another Vizier, I'm kind of boned. So as soon as this resolves, there's not going to be a window where I can break up infinite mana. So I think I just have to do this now. Because if I try to kill a Vizier, they're just going to respond by untapping everything. Or the channeler. Right, that can go away. That can go away. So they'll have 4 mana after the Vizier enters. The good news, at least with this, is barring something like Postmortem Lunge, even if they Coco into another Druid, that one will be summoning sick. Alright, well this will still be summoning sick. So next turn they can go infinite again, assuming they're getting a Druid here. I guess they can always have the option of getting the one out of the yard. Alright, so the plan is to next turn go infinite. And if they've got another Finale, they can just kill immediately, because if X is 10 or more, they basically Crater Hoof. Yeah, Basic Swamp is not ideal. Okay, so I think the play here is Iteration in an attempt to find Lightning Bolt, or I guess otherwise just removal. We're going to have 5 looks at it with the Surveils. So that seems good. So Bolt would do it immediately. Bin that. That's not a Bolt. Iteration for a Bolt. Iteration for an iteration. If I dash the Ragavan, they are still forced to block. If they've got another Vizier, that could be problematic, but that's just about the only line I have access to. So we'll put one of them into hand, Iteration. One of them into the bottom, Death Shadow. One into exile to play this turn. So this is going to force a chump. So now they have to have one of the 2 combo pieces and get lucky and draw the other. Neither of which is a foregone conclusion. Because again, channelers fly over for 1. So yeah, they just have to block. So they have to have additional copy of Vizier, be it a Vizier or a Finale. But once they do have that, they've got infinite mana. Okay. Did you find it? I mean, they have to have gotten lucky and drawn it off of the top. Alright, sick. They were trying to scare me, I guess. Alright, so Devoted combo. I guess Dress Down is a thing. It'll stop it for a turn. Flusterstorm can deal with Collected Company, and I guess if they're playing Eldritch Evolution, it can also stop Finale. I don't know that it's going to be much better than Spell Pierce, but it does still seem good. Unholy Heat going to be good as well. And I guess Terminate and also Explosives. We've got a fair amount. Come on, Magic Online. They have to have Sanctifiers? Yeah, probably. Dress Down is an additional out to that, and as is Engineered Explosives. I don't think they've got anything graveyard related other than like Finales to drink stuff out of the yard. I don't think they're in the business of dealing with many of our threats. I think cutting a couple is probably fine. Crocus is just being the slowest. Veil of Summer is going to be annoying. I think I'm going to cut a couple iterations again, just because everything else more directly interacts with them. The discard spells are kind of going to be double-edged swords. They're going to be really bad versus opposing Veil of Summers, and they're going to be good early and terrible late. Especially since we're on the draw, maybe that's enough reason to cut a couple Inquisitions. Also, they are tempo negative, meaning we have to spend mana to interact, and then we interact in a way that doesn't have the opponent spending any mana of their own. Removal spells were at least killing something the opponent has spent mana on, so we stay more on pace tempo-wise. So if I had the decision to cut between a discard spell and a retroactive removal spell, I'm gonna cut the discard spell, I think. Is it ever right to cut Bauble? I feel like it's a silly question at this point, but I still don't know. No, I think the bobble is going to be too important for making channelers good. I think I'm going to do what I did versus the combo deck last round, which was just cut a few iterations. I'm doing my best. I haven't played blue in a long time. Yep, the sound looks good. We don't have any of the interactive stuff that I was hoping for. Any of the retroactive interactive stuff, like removal spells, but we do have Thoughtseize on 1, which is ideally the turn they're not holding up Veil of Summer. We've got a Quick Shadow as well. Keep. I guess we would need 2 fetch lands in order to enable a turn 2 Shadow. We've got 2 Shocks. Still gonna probably fetch on 1. I guess I could bobble myself and do the Scry trick to really determine what I want to do, but if I do determine to use a shock land here instead of a fetch, then I know that I'm not going to be able to shadow on 2. They did mulligan once, which will help. There's the bird. Another fetch. Alright, well, I am casting Thoughtseize here. I'm going to use the Scry trick. Got another Mire on top. Alright, I'm shuffling that away for sure. Do I want Watery Grave or Blood Crypt? I guess I have a lot of black spells. So, I mean, I guess we've already got lots of red. It just, like, actually doesn't matter here, does it? I guess if we're going to double spell, it would be with black. I guess we could double spell with blue more easily, but we've got both of these. Yeah, it just does not feel like it matters. I got the Blood Crypt. There's the Veil. Rest in Peace, Path to Exile. Again, I think I'm ignoring the Rest in Peace. It's going to turn off the Drowns, but that's it. Veil is annoying and a multi for one. Thing is, I only have 1 threat right now, so Path is going to deal with it pretty handily. So it's what am I more worried about? Am I worried about them interacting with me or me interacting with them? I think because I've got more threats than they've got live combo pieces, it makes more sense to deal with their interaction in the form of Veil of Summer, because it's going to be easier for me to find more threats than it will be for them to find their combo pieces. So it's more backbreaking to deal with how their deck operates, as opposed to them interacting with how my deck operates. So I think that has me taking the Veil. And then drawing at your upkeep. There's a threat. Perfect. Exactly what I was talking about. Yeah, I mean, Rest of the Piece is annoying versus the channelers as well. I mean, I'm going to continue to be able to surveil, which is nice. There's the Rest in Peace. And I guess they played the Forest. Ragavan, perfect. More and more threats. See, this is what I was talking about in terms of me needing to find more threats. It's going to be relatively easy. I think I'm just going to go Channeler plus Ragavan. They do have the path, which is annoying. Say yes. I could just dash the Ragavan, but then they're going to use the path, and I'm going to have spent my entire turn not putting something into play. And then I do think I want to save the Dress Down for a Sanctifier turn. They didn't path. That's interesting. Alright, well, there is 1 unknown. Hopefully it's not Collected Company. I guess I can surveil first, so if I need to flash and Dress Down, maybe I like the card that I draw. I can continue getting information. They've got Ballista on top. Problematic. I mean, if the Ragavan connects, it won't matter. So maybe I should have actually bobbled after. Okay, they are just pathing. So they've got the Ballista on top. Yeah, we'll say okay to this. Say yes. I guess we'll get the Swamp. You want to take one. Yeah, so Ballista's going to get to deal with this pretty easily. I'm not going to play the Shadow as a 1-1 because then Ballista can take care of that as well, and that seems bad. Does Dress Down work on Ballista? That is a good question. Like, you're saying, like, does it enter with the counters because that's an ability? I honestly don't know. Google! Dress Down Walking Ballista. Of course Reddit has the answer. Let's just go to the answer. What was the card? Walking Ballista? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'll do another 30 seconds of research. And if we don't know, I'm honestly just going to do it for learning purposes, you know? It cancels enter the battlefields, that's for sure. But the thing is, this enters with, so I'm not sure. Alright. Science time. We're going to learn. Yeah, it enters with the counters. Yeah, it enters with. So, yeah. That was my guess, but I was not certain. That's good. I mean, I guess I'm just going to use it. Probably put Luris to hand. We can use the Bobble Trick again to continue filtering. They're going to block for sure. So let's just do this immediately. Yeah, that would have been cool. How many lands have we milled with this channeler now? I feel like we've milled like 5 lands with this channeler. Want to ping us for the last point? Yeah, makes sense. Alright. Bobble targeting us. We've got Lightning Bolt on top. That's got to be good. Alright, so let's play this. Play a 5/5 and then Luris to hand. This would put down Lightning Bolt, but this is way more mana efficient. Imagine having the Channeler. Channeler, I've played Channeler in Jund a couple of times, and it's looked impressive. I kind of like it. Drown does nothing. We do have fetchables remaining, right? We've got, I guess, maybe 1 Steam Vents, 1 Watery Grave. There's the Watery Grave. So in terms of Shocklands, we still do have a Steam Vents. So we can make this an 8/8 on command, which is a 2-turn clock. Alright. Jam. Yes. Alright, and I guess I'm just gonna play a Luris as a creature. I am aware that if I choose to block, it will be shrinking the Death Shadow. So if they had Collected Company, they could have done it last turn because they had the bird. Hooray! So we're 2-1, despite punting a game in the first round. The deck has felt very good. I mean, AspiringSpike is a very talented player, right? So I'm going to imagine any deck that they've put together to bring to a serious event has had to have had some work put into it. Dwarven Mine. Okay, so this is looking like the I always forget the name of the card. It's like red, red, red X. You put Emrakul into play or Velomachus. So this deck plays Run and 6. So I am not wanting to play a Channeler into a Run and 6. Had I been on the play, I would have led with the Channeler. But I am not wanting to just throw this away into a Run and 6, assuming they've got one. And they do. Alright, I guess I'm taking that. Yeah, we would have died pretty much on the spot had I played Channeler there. Indomitable Creativity, I believe you're correct. Yeah, in terms of the combo itself, we'll be fairly insulated against it as long as we can hold up removal spells, which will be harder with Teferi, which will be easier to kill the Teferi with the Unholy Heat. So playing the Channeler will give the opponent something to bounce, which is annoying, but then we'll at least we'll at least certify that our Unholy Heat will be able to kill the Teferi, which means that we can hold up our removal for future shenanigans. So if they Teferi here, it's unfortunate. They actually can't, because they don't have a blue or a white source in play already. Maybe a misstep on their part. Like, if they had played Sacred Foundry, they'd have been able to do it all. Alright, and we're playing Shadow, so I guess I'll... I actually kind of want to draw a land here, so let's just untap. I'm fetch shocking anyway. Perfect. So we can take 6 here, going to 11, and just cast double Shadow. That seems good. I guess I can lead on an attack, and then I'll hold up either Unholy Heat or Lightning Bolt. So fetch land was a good draw. This is like a Triome? No? Oh, maybe they're going to Prismari command. No, just Growth Spiral. There's the Foundry. So their hand is Teferi and what will be 4 unknowns. They can't both Teferi and They cannot Teferi and go for a combo, so holding up a removal spell is looking like it's going to work. I think I'm getting Blood Crypt here. I can't double spell with Drown and another blue spell if I get Drown, but if I get Steam Vents here, I have to hold up the Steam Vents, which I guess is fine. I don't have any instant speed black stuff anyway. I guess that tells them I'm not playing Fatal Push, but that's probably fine. Let's just say yes. Play a 2/2. 1 mana 2/2. Busted. Basically Goblin Guide. Alright, and then hold up removal for interacting with the combo. We've got instant sorcery, so assuming an instant goes to the yard, we just need to bin one more thing for the Unholy Heat to definitely kill this Teferi. I mean, we kind of have to kill the Teferi anyway, because we need to be able to interact with combo. Okay. We cannot end step on Unholy Heat because of Teferi's static. Interesting. I don't believe they play any sweepers. They don't play like Bring Delight or anything like that as far as I'm aware. I could just use an attack on the Teferi in order to keep the Unholy Heat in case they have future Teferis, and that does seem good. So the question becomes, do I want to dash the Ragavan? That would have me able to hold up only one removal spell unless the Ragavan connects, and I can hold up both or Drown. That's probably fine. I mean, I could also just like play Ragavan, play Shadow, and hold up one threat anyway. I think what I'm going to do is lead on an attack and see how far that gets me. I'm worried about pretty much exclusively Lightning Bolt. So by attacking both the Teferi, assume we can make sure to connect with it, assuming they've only got one bolt. Okay. And I do not believe I'm playing around the sweeper here. So I'm just going to go Shadow plus Ragavan. I could hold up Drown just as a counter spell. But this applies maximum pressure. They still don't have enough mana to both Teferi and go for combo. They need one more land. Like if they fetch a Dwarven Mine, they'd have a total of 6 mana. They need 4 mana to cast the X spell because X has to be 1. I can also bolt myself to grow shadows. I would have these being 5 apiece. Plus 2 is 12, plus 1 is 13. If we can enable Delirium, that puts them to 1, which means they cannot fetch for a Dwarven Mine. Yeah, I mean, given I've got 2 ways to interact, I think bolting myself is actually just correct. If we can find another type. Thoughtseize is actually excellent, though. It doesn't add a type, but that's going to be an additional 4 points worth of attacking, given that I'm losing 2 life with it. And then if we can enable Delirium, we have potentially just lethal. We don't want that. I did bolt myself. I guess your message was just delayed a little bit. Oh, so it's the Velomachus version. So they can just cast Velomachus next turn, so gotta take that. They can savor the moment, but then on their next turn, they'll be short. So this is 14, 15, 16, 17. Oh, so they're actually just dead. Yeah, sick. Thoughtseize was perfect. Alright, so it's Velomachus turns. I think the Emrakul version that Zan Saeed has been working on is probably better because you're not jamming your deck full of extra turn spells that don't do anything otherwise. And it did come up for the opponent there that's what happened. So Dress Down is good for, I guess it stops Velomachus for a turn, the turn that it comes in. I don't know that that's good enough. Unholy Heat does kill Velomachus because it's a 5/5. I guess Terminates also kill Velomachus. Flusterstorm I don't think is good enough. Like it'll counter the Transmogrify effects, but that's it. And not even going into the late game. And it doesn't counter Planeswalkers, which are another important moving piece. So I think these are the 4 that I'm interested in. I mean, honestly, most of the deck seems well equipped here. It's possible that while I'm on the draw, I should cut Ragavans. Reason being is it's for sure the weakest card into a Ren and 6, but it having dash could be important for killing a Teferi after it's minus. So I don't think I want to cut all of them, but I get like having threats that don't die to the Ren and 6 seems important. And then again, I think I'm going to be cutting discard spells, couple Inquisitions. Not Shadow, Inquisition. Like we're pretty soft to Veil of Summer as is. And versus this deck, I actually think Iteration is going to be pretty useful. I guess Explosives is a way to also interact with the combo if we place it on 0. But I mean, this being sorcery speed means that they're going to know that we can interact with it, which seems a lot worse. We've got a basic again. We've got on a Holy Heat, Lightning Bolt, and a Shadow. I guess we could Croaks on 2. We can't cast Drown with the lands in hand. This isn't exciting, but if they do have a Ren and 6, we can deal with it between Bolt and Unholy Heat. It's not ideal. The opponent's down to 5. So yeah, we are hoping the opponent doesn't have a Ren and 6, because that's how they would unmulligan. Bobble's a fine draw. That can help us enable Delirium, so we can one-shot a potential Ren and 6. And I guess I'll bobble myself now, because that'll help me determine when I'm fetching. We've got Watery Grave on top. Watery Grave on top does seem good. That turns on the Drown and is additionally just another way to enable Death Shadow. So we're gonna draw the Watery Grave, which means this Polluted Delta is probably getting Blood Crypt. We're gonna want to be able to double spell with red, and we've already got Mountain. There's your Triumph. So ideally, no Ren and 6. And it does not appear they have it. That's pretty big. Alright, let's just good old Fetch Shock untap. I guess I could Bolt myself, but then even with the Shock, we only go down to 13, which means we're not playing a Shadow anyway. Let's just Shock untap, as you do as a Death Shadow player. Another Drown. Drowns aren't countering a whole lot as is. As the game progresses, I imagine it'll counter a lot more. I guess I could cast Croxa here. Like, I can't actually counter Teferi here, which would be the turn 3 concern. And they're already so low on cards without a Ren and 6. So yeah, casting this here seems fine. Also, we're adding Creature to the yard to help us use our Unholy Heat to one-shot a Planeswalker, which is nice. So yeah, this seems correct to me. Cycle of Veil. Okay. Well, that's a good use of Veil for us. Veil would be problematic versus our Drowns. So moving forward, at a minimum, we can hold up Drown and a 1-mana removal spell. That's red. Yeah, games without DRC are different. Yeah, DRC is quite the engine. I love the card. It's so cool. AspiringSpike might be right. I mean, I feel like the jig is up. Like, a lot of people are playing the card to great success. It's just a really sweet design. It's a good threat at 1 mana, and it does really well to smooth out the rest of your draws. So Shadow is a good threat, but not at the moment. I could Lightning Bolt myself now just to play some 1/1s, but I don't think I'm wanting to do that quite yet. While I can hold up Drown, especially now since I can counter problematic things like Teferi. It was $9 at release. It is no longer $9. Now it's like $3. Yeah, when in the first week when the market was not yet saturated, there were plenty. Okay. Funny thing is even if they have Grave Hate, or Drown in the Lock is always gonna kill a token. I think I'm using a Drown here. Unholy Heat and Bolt interacts much more efficiently. Also, I want to have the Bolt to target myself so I can start playing Shadows. Yeah, let's Drown this. Yeah. Okay, and then am I bolting myself now? I think so. They still haven't drawn Ren and 6. It'll be unfortunate if I play a Death Shadow and they've found a Ren and 6, but it's gonna be kind of hard to resist. Beautiful. Let's just do this now, so that way they can't respond with like a Prismari command or something. I think I want more black and I want more red. That only has me at 1 blue though. If I find a Dress Down or an Iteration or a Drown, I'm gonna want to be able to double spell with 2 blue things. So I think I for sure want a blue source. So I guess blue and black. That has me only at 1 red, though, and I've got Croxa in the yard. I guess I have to get Steam Vents. I have 2 red. What am I talking about? I only have 1 blue. Yeah, so Steam Vents looks good. It's Steam Vents or Water Grave. It's just not Blood Crypt. I think I'm going to do Steam Vents. Because I'm playing both my black spells anyway. Let's say... Yes... Oh, that's why I'm stupid. Yeah, it needed to be Steam Vents, because now I can't hold up the Drown. Oop. Alright, well, I guess I'm playing 1. Yeah, I did a stupid. My bad. That was really bad. I should have 2 Shadows in play, which shortens the clock by a lot. If they do something like a Time Warp here, I think I'm just going to let them say, okay, it's effectively an Explorer. So yeah, should have for sure gotten the the blood crypt. Or I guess not the blood crypt, the other thing. Yeah, I'm gonna let this happen. They have 5 cards in the yard, so if they were to just cast a Velomachus when they get there, Drown does not yet deal with it. Another Drown. So we are at Delirium, which means Unholy Heat is a one-shot kill of Velomachus. I could escape the Croxa, but then we turn that line off. They can actually Velomachus next turn if they've got Prismari command, so I think I want to avoid that happening. They'd still have to get lucky, because, you know, they discard down to 1, they'd have to Prismari command and find the Velomachus, which is still quite possible. I think I'm just going to play the Shadow. Continue holding up a Drown and an Unholy Heat. And then on a turn where I'm more confident they don't just have it, or I can hold up an Unholy Heat, I'll feel more confident in jamming the Croxa and not just dying immediately. There's the Ren and 6. I'm feeling like I need to counter that. And I guess they don't have another green source for Veil of Summer, which is nice, so that's not a concern. I guess they could have a counter spell. Alright, we get to start jamming. Another Croxa. They're so low on resources, I kind of like just continuing the Croxa plan. This still lets me hold up both Drown and Unholy Heat, and they're so few on cards that picking any number of them out of their hand seems great. Like, tapping up for Croxa here feels like one of the few ways I could lose. Because, like, if they just have the Velomachus and hit any extra turn spell, I die. So they have 1 card that isn't a land. So at this point, there are 8 cards in my yard, which means if I escape Croxa, I can keep 2 of them. I think I'm using Drown again. Yeah, I'm gonna use Drown again because I can hold up. I can hold up the Unholy Heat if I find a land and want to escape Croxa. This lets me keep 3 things in the yard, which means I'm just shy of keeping Delirium. And now that they've only got 1 card in hand, I think I am safe in just jamming Croxa. This makes it even more safe. So I guess a way I could potentially lose if I shock here and they like just bolt me and then draw a bolt and bolt me again. So I think I'm just gonna get my basic here. This has the Shadow attacking for 5, putting them to 9. I guess if I shock, it hits them for 7, which does shorten the clock, but they're forced to deal with the Croxa here. I feel like it's more likely that I get boned if they just have 2 lightning bolts. So let's escape the Croxa. We'll keep Mishra's Bauble, and I guess an instant. Or maybe not, because instant's going to be easy to put on the yard. So, yeah, we're going to get rid of the instants. I guess if they kill the creature, that'll be easy. We only need 1 Croxa. Yeah. It's like now if they discard their card, they can't have Velomachus. Like, they could still Prismari command to make a treasure and then top deck Velomachus, but then we've got Unholy Heat. But I guess we're taking the Delirium off, which was the main concern. So if they've got Prismari command, they just, like, I guess have to make a treasure and Hail Mary it. I mean, we know their last card just can't be a land, though, and it is a bolt. Alright, so I'm glad I didn't shock. We get to attack for 8 anyway. Alright, so if they top deck Lightning Bolt, I'm going to feel like an IQ of 4,000. Sick. Alright. Yeah, this deck has felt really, really smooth. I think Spike is onto something with this this dress down thing. Like dress down, it hasn't ever won us the game immediately, but it's interacted on a meaningful axis basically every single match and does cantrip. So I mean, it's looked impressive. I like it. The one match we lost so far is when the opponent top decked the the only mill, I guess one of 2 mill spells that would have killed us. This is an ASMR stream now.
I'm bubble wrapping my car.
Hope these fit. These are the springs. For the one that I lost. This is a 6-pack too.
Well, if they don't, I'll return them for you.
I mean, it's $6. It's probably not even worth returning. They're just good to have. Huh?
$6 is $6. It's like lunch money.
Yeah, but the springs are just good to have.
Have you ever needed them until now?
No, but they could be good to have. I'm hoarding, okay? Just chill.
You don't need to explain hoarding to me.
We get to go first. Reveal the broken card. Ow.
Jesus. Isn't it me, Jesus?
This looks like it'll fit. They've also revealed Laris. Our hand's excellent.
Hey Marty, did you ever get the highlights magazines as a kid?
No, I didn't. Alright, so I guess I'm just going to lead on Channeler here. I could lead on Inquisition. But while I'm on the play, I think leading on Channeler is probably correct. We've got Inquisition and Unholy Heat in hand, so I believe Blood Crypt is the go-to here. And then I'll probably just get Watery Grave next turn. Cast Inquisition, hold up Unholy Heat. Cast using a plains. Oh, it's Hammer. Okay. This hand looks like it may do well versus Hammer. Shadow. Okay. I'm gonna use the Inquisition off of Watery Grave so I can hold up the Unholy Heat. Trigger. So we've got land in the yard and that's it. How about another land? Actually, is another land good here? So another land here means that if I don't Unholy Heat now, I get to hold up Unholy Heat and drown next turn. Alternatively, I also do just get to use the shock, go to 12, and then hold up the drown. Yeah, another land here seems reasonable. They've got Stoneforge, Hammer, Hammer. So this is cast as they had flash. Whenever it enters, you may attach it to a creature. So let's take the Stoneforge, because that's just another copy of Hammer anyway. And then if they get to untap, the Unholy Heat is no longer going to be good because they'll just flash in a Hammer a couple of times. So this has to happen now. They had a turn 2 Goldfish kill. I still want this. Get to get in for 1. Yeah, so I mean, had I Inquisitions on turn 1, we could have taken the aid, which would have been quite good. But I mean, as is, their hand is still pretty excellent. Another 8, right? Well, second 8 is a lot less good than the first one. So their hand now is Hammer, Hammer. So Drown is going to be able to kill a creature at basically any stage. So now might actually be the correct turn to cast a Croxa and at least kill a Hammer. That seems fine to me. So cast a Croxa, and then I'll play a Shadow as a 1/1. And then on future turns, we can hold up a Drown to disrupt the combo. And if they don't draw a land here, they can't even activate the Saga. Adding creature makes Channeler a 3/3. Sick. Nick says stop hoarding springs. I'll do what I want. Look, they're so cute. There's 6 of them.
I'll return them all.
They found the land. Alright, so that means they can activate Saga. So they're going to make, I guess, a 1/1. Another Drown. So Saga is something they can equip hammers to. I mean, I think I'm just attacking. They're gonna make a creature end step. And then if they go for an equip on the hammer, I'll just kill it. Yeah, like if they make a 1/1 with an intention to block, like that's fine. Yeah, Dress Down would be sick. Dress Down just straight kills Urza tokens. So, before I mess this up, so this is going to make a 1/1. They can then activate this again. They're probably not going to, though. They're probably just going to like flash in a hammer and equip it, search for another hammer and equip it. Is there anything that would mess me up, like protection spell-wise? I don't think so. I think Drown is just going to straight break it up. Yeah, I'm just going to let this happen. Because like, if they're gonna use hammers, it's a lot harder for them to re-equip it. So I think I'm going to let them go for it. And then Drown the token. Have I thought about Dress Down and other shells after playing with it? I'm not typically a blue player, so I don't usually play with things like Dress Down, but Dress Down has looked pretty sick. It's a fun one. One of the reasons why I really like the Modern Horizons 2 is that in past Master sets, the things that have been pushed have been the threats, but when you make pushed or even just interesting answers, things like Unholy Heat, things like Dress Down, I think that creates a fun format. Says the I made the account when I was a Splinter Twin player, but Splinter Twin has had its time pass, unfortunately. All right, so they can go for a kill. All right, I'm not blocking. You want to go for it? There's no way they go for it, right? Yep. I will let them target the one that they're wanting to target. So they've got Luris as a leftover now. Let me make sure both of these are targeting. Interesting. So I'll let this resolve. Let this resolve. My windows are everywhere. Yeah, I don't want that. Alright, so they've got Luris as a leftover. I'm not super concerned about Memnite, so if I can get this construct out of the way, which it's looking like I can do fairly easily. Mono Drown on the lock of control. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just going to drown it now so I can get in with a shadow. If they just top deck another hammer, putting it on the Memnite does not kill us. That hits us for 11, which then has our shadow being lethal on the backswing. So I'm feeling pretty comfy in just doing this now. I don't believe there's a way any one card kills us. They have 0 in hand, even if they find a hammer. Like if they, I guess like the worst case would be the double white card that makes their equip costs cost 0, but we still would not die to it, and then we can drown and lock their thing out of the way and still just win. All right, so Luris is going to hand. Yep. Thoughtseize, cool. So we can Thoughtseize and still hold up the drown. More drown in the lock. We've got Giver of Runes, that doesn't matter. I guess I'm actually going to just take the Giver, because if they tap out for the Luris, I just drown it and we're done. I think the opponent has conceded? Okay, no, not yet. Go to attack. So now, is there still even a concern of a hammer coming in? No, right? Because I just have another drown. Yes, I can keep Croxa in play after escaping it. That is a funny thing that can happen. Okay, so I just say okay to this. Dragon's Rage Channeler just flies in for a win. Like they can instant speed equip a hammer. Oh, they're just going for it now. I understand. Yeah, it still costs 4 mana, right? Alright, let's make sure they're targeting their Mem Knight. No, we just killed the Mem Knight. Alright, we're up a game versus Hammer. Yeah, I mean, on paper, I can see an argument that this has a good Hammer matchup. Unholy Heat seems good. Dress Down just straight kills the Urza Saga tokens. We can also Alpine Moon for Urza Saga, which is also fine. Terminate also seems good, and Explosive seems excellent. I guess we have Lantern if we're super worried about the actual whatchamacallit, the Luris plan. I mean, I think I'm going to do what I've been doing versus the other combo decks on the draw, which is cut some number of expressive iteration. On the draw, it just seems really slow. What else? I guess maybe Ragavan is on the awkward side versus like the Mem Knight deck. Channeler seems great though. Shadow seems great. Croxa seems like it's going to have some utility. I think I'm just cutting another iteration. This still has me needing 2 cuts, and just about everything in the deck is looking like it's reasonable. I think I'm going to also do, like, maybe an Inquisition. Like, they are just a straight combo deck, right? So, like, the discard spells are pretty high in value. But, I like the retroactive stuff that makes them use their mana to, like, commit something. Because, like for example, like, the opponent last game, they were, like, flashing hammers into play. And, discard spells are pretty bad versus things like that. Yeah, maybe I just cut the discard spells because everything else is better. Sure. Sure. Reveal the busted card. Yeah, I guess. We've got a threat, we've got a way to interact, we've got a Dress Down for Urza Saga. I would like more ways to interact for a single mana. I guess I don't want to always yield to that. Yep. Got a 0 drop? You do. Do I think they'll ban Luris? I don't think it's unreasonable. I think if there were a ban talk, it would either be Mishra's Bauble or Luris. Personally, I would be fine with them just doing away with the companion rule and just like say it was a standard only thing. Like I think it would be a mistake to ban all of the companions, including Luris, like as a thing you could just put in your deck. And I think putting it in your deck is completely reasonable. I guess I'll just shock a Steam Vents and play a Channeler. Hope I'm not dead. So they are holding up Urza Saga activation. I mean, we have the dress down to deal with both tokens. They don't have a way to, like, equip their thing, which is nice. They don't have a good attack. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna hold up the dress down. Terminate or Drown on the Lock is gonna have to go at Giver first. So, given we've got Swamp in hand, I guess we're still just getting Blood Crypt. I don't really need more than double blue at any given moment. So I'm gonna hope that they use their turn. It's like activating the Saga again. Cool. And we'll see what they get. Oh crap. Pithing Needle. Thought about it a second too late. Okay, they got Shadow Spear. Sure. Pithing Needle would have been bad for me. Alright. I'll do it now. Watery Grave or Blood Crypt? I've got lots of red spells. Let's get the Blood Crypt. It'll be bad if I want to, like, drown plus another blue spell, but all my blue spells cost 2 mana, right? Dress down. I would have had to respond to the equip on the Shadow Spear. But as it turns out, I don't have to worry about that. Shadow's a good pickup. Alright, we're 3/4 of the way to Delirium as well, which is nice. If I use the Terminate on the Giver right now, it actually just straight works. And Tarn means that we can Fetch Shock going to 12 and play a Shadow, but it honestly might just be better to play a Channeler. Playing a Channeler would have flying, which would also mean that if they have the nuts and equip an Inkmoth Nexus with a hammer, we can still block it, right? Because, like, they can attack with flying, and then after we declare no blocks, then hammer. But we can always block if we play a flyer, right? If we just play a Shadow, we won't have the option. That said, I still think I want to use the fetch here. And then I need to... I guess terminate first, so that way my first channeler can attack for 3. And then this will get Watery Grave. To hold, to then cast... Oh, I guess if it's getting Watery Grave, I need to cast the channeler first, right? Which also just gives me more surveils anyway, so this does seem good. And then if the opponent's playing something like Rest in Peace, it may actually be better to use the Drown first, but Drown being a counterspell as just some extra utility seems good. Don't need that. Thoughtseize does seem good. Hey, James! Luris, most played creature in the format at the moment. A lot of decks, but with mid-range survive without Luris. Still like to play good old Jund. Yeah, I mean, I still play good old Jund because I like it. Even without Luris, I've played it without Luris. Rest in Peace from the Luris deck. If it significantly impacts the opponent more than it impacts them, it's still reasonable, I think. Like, for example, the 4-color Velomachus / Emrakul deck that we just played against, they pretty often do play Rest in Peace, even though they play Wrenn and 6. Alright, so Sanctifier is annoying. Turns off Delirium, so we're looking for another dress down. I guess something that is something we can do is I can Thoughtseize here, put Lurrus into hand. Next turn, cast Lurrus. The following turn, have access to Dress Down. It's not ideal, but I think it's the best line that I have. If I Thoughtseize down to 10, we can get hit 3 times and be fine. So Thoughtseize still looks good here, and then I'll probably just put Lurrus to hand. This gets exiled immediately. The thing is, I think I need to bin it anyway. Yeah, I'll bin it. Discard's not going to be very good past this turn. They've got Stoneforge and Paladin. I guess I have to take the Stoneforge. That's their access to Hammer. But they have Urza Saga, so that's also their access to Hammer. I guess that means I'm taking Paladin. Paladin's going to draw them cards when the Hammer enters. And like they've got Hammer anyway, so I have to take Paladin, right? I could just play a 3/3, but doesn't seem great when I'm working towards Dress Down. Dress Down will also help take care of the Saga tokens that this apparently will make. Collecting DNA from specimens, that seems fun. How's your research been going? And pass. Alright, so this looks like they're holding up Saga. My dog just let out a bellow. Alright, so fetch land means that we can Lurrus and cast Dress Down. Thing is, though, this only casts stuff on our turn, right? During each of our turns. So, I mean, I do need to play Lurrus, right? This has to get a shock land, if any. So if I'm at an effective 4, which I think I am, because that means I can Lurrus and hold up Drown for whatever they do this turn, I would be going down to 1, which would then mean I'm dying to Ornithopter with a Shadow Spear on it. I mean, if this is getting a shock land anyway, as long as I have another black one in the deck, I don't actually have to fetch yet. I could just continue holding up the Drown. Watery Grave is gone, so it's only Blood Crypt. I didn't exile the Blood Crypt. Alright, so yeah, I can fetch shock Blood Crypt if I need to. I guess I get to recast the Bauble here. Right, so I said Blood Crypt is in the deck, so let's leave Watery Grave available. Get to cast the Bauble. Don't want that. Just take some lands out of the deck. Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt feels like it's got to be good enough. I'm pretty likely to fetch it away anyway. I guess not even true. I could just Bauble immediately, so that way I draw it. We get some more info as well. They've got Sigarda's Aid on top. Alright, well luckily they can't flash in Sigarda's Aid before their Saga pops off. I can't attack because then they would be able to just make a token and block. I'll draw my Lightning Bolt. So ideally the Lurrus gets to live. We know they're drawing Sigarda's Aid. They've got Stoneforge in hand. So it's looking like Lurrus is going to get to live. And then next turn we can Dress Down and Bolt the Sanctifier. Alright, they're not making another construct. I guess they know that I have Dress Down coming anyway. Ah, I see, James. Well, good luck. You're a smart dude. You'll figure it out, right? So it'll be interesting to see what they get here. They've already gotten their Shadow Spear. They could try to just get me with a Pithing Needle again, but I don't think I'm going to fetch shock out of fear of Pithing Needle. They got another Drum. There's the Stoneforge. Do I want to counterspell? Countering this does not seem insane. Again, the issue just becomes, if I do counter this, I'm fetch shocking, going to 4. They get to attack me for 3, putting me to 1. Then they just have to put Shadow Spear on Ornithopter, which means I have to kill literally everything. if I let this resolve, they get hammer. They can then Sigarda's Aid and then just like flash in a hammer and kill me anyway. I think I have to go to 1 and then just do my best to kill everything. Inkmoth does infect damage, so that much seems fine. So this will get the Blood Crypt that we talked about. Go to 4. Counter. Triggers. Alpine Moon. That will deal with future copies of Urza Saga. They've already used 2. I could name Inkmoth Nexus. That actually seems good because assuming they find a hammer, this could easily be a way that I die. This would cut that off. Maybe a mistake, though, because, like I said, I am going to need to kill actual everything. I mean, I can suicide the Luris, like, just to gain 3 after I've Dress Downed. I guess I would... I can't even gain 3, though, right? Because Dress Down's going to make Luris lose lifelink. Oh, this makes a lot of sense as well. Good play from the opponent. So I'm just dead. If I triple block here, I don't even kill it. I gain 3 up to 7, take 2, but then take 1 trample, or I guess 4 trample. I can't jump this. So I'm at an effective 2. I have to block. Right? So what does this have me? This has me taking 4, gaining 3. So taking 1, taking 2, going to 1. Yeah, so I'm drawing to Dress Down. Yep. And then at my upkeep, I can use the bolts to dig for the Dress Down. Like, I have to kill the Ornithopter anyway. And then I guess Dress Down is going to have to get lucky as well. Right, because like I still have to find an answer for the Sanctifier. Like, if I'm bolting this, I don't have the answer for the Sanctifier. They can put Shadow Spear here. So maybe I should have blocked just to absorb 1 more point. That's interesting. So do I just have to get lucky and draw it naturally? No, I think I still have to dig and then just have the Dress Down draw something good. So this goes there. Dress Down or bust. Yeah, I did not think about that line from the opponent. That was a good play. Can't keep that anymore. Can't keep that. Alright, Dress Down. There's 3 of them. Hey! So, I can actually do this on the opponent's turn, right? Because then an out that I have to the Sanctifier is just blocking. I can block with a Shadow. Yeah, okay. We hit our 3-outer. Does it make sense to attack? We can't, right? Because this will still be a 1/1. Yeah. So, Dress Down was the nut. We can block the Sanctifier with the Dress Down in play. Shadow will be a 13/13. Ooh. That probably does it. Their last card is Sigarda's Aid. I mean, Dress Down can still hit a 1-mana removal spell. Right? As the Shadow Spear will still survive. So we're gonna Surveil for a 1-mana removal spell here, and if we hit it, we're live. Holy crap, we're live. Put on top. Put on top. And I'm aware of my not super stellar clock at the moment. Okay. We get to keep a Channeler around. So the last card is Sigarda's Aid. They still have the Luris. And our thing must attack now. Yikes. So I wonder if I should just straight not cast Croxa. Well, I guess I get to escape it the turn that they put Croxa into the Luris into their hand anyway. So casting it makes sense to me. And I'm aware of my clock. Should I lose this game, I'm going to have to quicken my pace. We literally must attack. So if they find a hammer, we potentially die. That's not a hammer. Is this Luris to hand? I mean, we've got Croxa to take it out of hand. Which means maybe the opponent should not have played Esper Sentinel. We'll attack first. We can't block a flyer anyway. So I'm assuming we're gonna have to remove Delirium here, but let's double check. We'll keep one dress down. We can keep plenty of lands. We can keep artifacts. I guess we get to do this, right? So we get to keep the Delirium. Discard your Luris. I guess here's a Shadow as well. See no reason to hold it. Alright. Hammer or bust? It's a good sign. If they cantrip with that, they're not gonna have enough mana to actually do anything, right? Yeah, this is exciting. I am definitely on the edge of my seat. Metaphorically, not literally. Alright, so now they only have 1 mana. I guess if they have a 0 drop, they're back up to 2. Hey, we did it! Alright, so this is a long recording, so I'm going to try to do this quickly. I didn't do much of a deck tech because this is not my deck, and I am out of practice as far as blue goes, so I didn't really have a lot to say. But the one match that we lost was versus Mill, and it came down to the wire game 3 where like we had them dead on board, and they had to top deck exactly one of 2 Mill spells because we had 14 cards left, and they needed to top deck either their Mill 14 or Tasha's Laughter, which would have certainly done it. And they hit it exactly on the turn they needed it on that last turn. So I mean, this was like almost a 5-0. So this deck has felt really, really cool. We only cast Expressive Iteration a small handful of times, and I brought it out a lot while on the draw, so I'm not sure that that's what I should be doing, but it worked in this specific 5-match set. The dress downs looked really good. 2 mana draw card is never completely dead, and it very often got us out of some very sticky situations. I think we killed 2 Sanctifiers in separate matches because of dress down, so that was really, really exciting. Ragavan felt fine. We had it on turn 1, I think only twice, and it was good one of those 2 times. The other time it got bricked, but I mean, it's going to happen sometimes. Dragon Rage Channelers felt really good. They smooth the draws so well. They do so much digging for the important cards like Dress Down. We saw that in that last game. And Croaks is also just really powerful. It's pretty cool that we get to play a, I guess, air quotes, 4-drop in a Luris deck. But I mean, it has felt good. Having 25 things that cost a single mana to cast on turn 1, I guess excluding Death Shadow. So 21 things. Like, you're almost always going to have something to do on 1 mana, and that feels really powerful. And the ability to double spell as early as turn 2 also feels fantastic. So, I mean, the deck feels great. The Luris plan felt good. The Luris definitely came up a few times. And, I mean, the sideboard is feeling fairly well tuned. I feel like we saw, in just this 5-match set, we saw a pretty good gauntlet representation of what the top tables are looking like right now, with maybe the exception of a Cascade deck. But I mean, the sideboard seems like it was tuned very, very well. And obviously, again, this is a copy paste of the recent AspiringSpike list that they played at a recent in-person Texas event. And I mean, they top 8'd, and I got 4-1, only losing one very, very close match. And I even punted a game. The very first game of the league, I punted. So, I mean, despite that, the deck was powerful enough to save me. So, yeah, the deck feels sweet, and I'm definitely excited to playing it some more. So, but until then, that's going to be it for this recording. If you're watching live on Twitch, remember all of my videos are being recorded for uploading to my YouTube channel. You can find the link to my YouTube channel on my Twitch page. You can also search me on YouTube with with my username, which you can find all the names of my socials right here below. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thanks for watching up to this point. I appreciate your viewership. If you haven't already, remember to like and subscribe. They are both great free ways to support what I do on YouTube, and I appreciate all the support. So until the next time, I guess I can't say Jund them out because this is Grixis. Grixis them out? Is that a that's not a phrase, right? I don't even know what to say. I'm just gonna end it. All right, have a good one, everybody.